Hello and welcome to this short introductory training video instructing players on how to use the Spike NLOS for the upcoming event Shadow of Thermopylae. In the event Shadow of Thermopylae, the anti-tank specialists of Alpha and Charlie Squad will have access to the Spike anti-tank missile launcher, which is just the vanilla Titan launcher, with Ace turning it into a de facto javelin. The functionality of it becomes exactly like the RHS javelin. So you just lock on to the thermal signature of an enemy vehicle, switch whether you want to do direct attack or top attack, and then fire and forget. Simple as this. Very effective, very straightforward. But for Shadow of Thermopylae, there is a nice little mod that gives us an extra capability through giving us a new ammunition type, the non-line of sight missile, or NLOS for short. The NLOS missile gives the operator the ability to manually guide the missile through the missile's POV. I will demonstrate how that works right now. So in order to do that, you have to first load the Titan AT Seeker missile, Seeker being the NLOS missile. Sadly, unlike the real Spike launcher, you have to, like, the NLOS capability only works with the specific ammo type. The real Spike anti-tank launcher, you can decide whenever whether you want to shoot fire and forget or fire and observe. Here we have to make that decision as we load. So now that we've loaded the missile, we basically just aim in the rough direction of where we want to shoot. It always helps to aim a bit higher. Then once we have fired the missile, we will get through the scroll wheel menu the option to switch into the missile's POV, from which we can then manually guide it. I will demonstrate that right now. So I'm going to fire, and then immediately I'll get the prompt to switch into missile's POV. FOV. So once we're in here, we get this view with the crosshair. By clicking anywhere on the screen, we can now guide the missile and where we want it to fly. We can also zoom by pressing R. Helps us maybe identify our target a bit better. Through pressing N, we can switch into thermal view. This is, however, only the vanilla thermal view, so this might not be always very helpful. There's also an auto-lock feature which works more or less good. I will try that with another vehicle in a second. And if we want to leave the missile POV, we can just press escape. But we can also just enter it again. As you can see, the missile's flight time is quite considerable. We have down here a little timer how long the missile has been flying. So we've been flying for a solid minute at this point. And yeah, I'm just gonna try to shoot this into this building over here. And you can see that we can very accurately choose where the missile goes. So I will now reload another Spike NLOS, and I have placed another target over there. Right, so I have direct visual to this target, which is easy, right? I can just fire, missile POV. I can see the target right here. I can try the locking, but honestly, the locking, I've never got it to work. The missiles fly rather slowly, I've noticed. But that, of course, helps us guide it a bit better. Now, I'm going to be 100% honest here. This feature's usability is a bit gimmicky, right? If this would work like real Spike missiles, where we can choose whether we want to fire and forget or fire and observe whenever, it would be fine. But because we have to make a conscious choice between ammo types here, it is, of course, a question like, do I want regular anti-tank missiles, which give me the ability to fire and forget, which is faster and I don't have to think or work for it, or do I want the NLOS capability? However, Arma is a military sandbox simulator, and it's fun trying out gimmicky things. So I've added this mod. I hope it gets played around with. I will now demonstrate 2 scenarios in which this feature might actually be useful. For this first scenario, this scout squad over here has visual on an enemy tank. Now, we are roughly right here. We do not have direct line of sight to the tank. This scout section does not have any anti-tank munitions. However, we are well within the range of the NLOS missile. So what I can now do is I can... Where the fuck is my compass? Okay, I do not have a compass on the map, apparently. Which is odd. Shouldn't there be a fucking compass here? Well, I guess I'll just have to wing it. Typically, I would suggest that you use the compass on your map to try and help gain the direction, but thankfully, through the difficulty settings that I have, I can see that I'm looking in the right direction. So I would orient myself towards the direction of the target, which now seems to be aligning. You want the map marker to be as precise as possible, because if the map marker is more here or here, that gives me more of an area where I have to search for the target and I might miss it. I'll also look at terrain features. So I see that the target is apparently between 2 clusters of small buildings. There is a, well, this is a main road, so this is like a less pronounced road with a bend here, and I know this is all an open area. So this should be rather easily identifiable from the air. I will now simply launch my missile into the air, after I've reloaded, of course. And I'll go tank hunting. I can try the thermal feature, but I've already found it right here. So I'll try to first gain a bit of altitude, so that I can attack more of a top-down attack, right? And as you can see, this is not really that hard. Now, obviously, if this was a real scenario with other players, the scout section could now tell me how the effect on target was. But considering that I see flames and a smokestack, I think the tank has been destroyed. Now, I've already used up all my ammo, so I'm going to quickly resupply to demonstrate the next and final useful way of using this. I have a drone up here, and the drone has a visual on yet another tank right here. Now, I'm using Turret Enhanced mod, which is really useful for this kind of thing. So I have the north indicator on the thing, and I can put map markers directly from the turret view. So I've just created a map marker, and I can see, oh, okay, the tank is right here. And with our position down... Where the fuck were we? Oh, in the drone of position right now. So with our position right here, this is again within NLOS range. So as you can see, the NLOS missile allows us to engage targets to which we don't have direct line of sight personally, but we can still affect them, which can, can be used very creatively. We can de facto use this as indirect fire acid if we choose to do so. Or in a defensive scenario, like in Shadow of Thermopylae, we can have our AT acids spread out, but they're still able to cover larger areas where they themselves don't see, but we have other sensors. So let's just try again to destroy this target. That should be over there. Yeah, there we go. Of course, I've set this up myself, so I have a rough idea where this tank is, but through comparing, map markers and the terrain, you should be able to comfortably identify where a target is. Again, this auto-lock feature really doesn't seem to do jack shit. Unlike the missile, which seems to be doing its job quite well. So let's quickly check on the turret of the drone. We have affected the target, is definitely damaged. Not a catastrophic kill though, so it's not a one-hit kill guaranteed. The other one was the exact same tank, by the way, so maybe I've just managed to hit the ERA a bit badly, but generally speaking, this is still a very potent anti-tank missile that is able to at least mission kill enemy tanks quite reliably. Anyhow, I hope this tutorial, this introduction, was useful for both the operators of the spike launchers as well as the leadership that now has a better idea of how to effectively utilize this asset. I hope lots of people join this Sunday for Shadow of Thermopylae and that this gimmick gets to see some use. Until then, have a good one. Hey, post-production Toby here. I have done some reading up and some more testing on the lock feature that I was talking about. It doesn't work. It does work, but not the way I expected it to. I expected it to work by it locking onto a target, but that's not what it actually meant. It meant, I'm going to demonstrate. Right now you can see the lock is off. Now it's on. The lock refers to locking onto this square, and if I lock onto something, it just is gonna, the missile is gonna fly very well and directly to the locked square, like for instance this tank. If I turn off the lock, I have some slightly better fine controls of the missile, but generally speaking, the auto lock is gonna give me a very good effective flight path anyway, like itself. So that's all there is to it. I completely misunderstood the way this works. Anyhow, I hope this helps.